Ever feel like you need like a parenting handbook or something, like something to get you through those big meltdowns when like your kid's whole world just implodes because, something didn't go their way.
Right, right.
So today we're diving into that, giving you the tools not to just like survive those moments, but to actually use them to raise a kid who can like bounce back from, well, anything.
Yeah.
And we're pulling 5 awesome tips from this article we found. 5 tips for teaching kids to handle disappointment.
It's funny because we always think about how to prevent disappointment, but that's kind of impossible. It's like you can't stop the tide from coming in, right? But you can teach them to, ride those waves, surf.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so tip number 1.
Hmm.
It's all about acknowledging those big feelings. It's so easy to just jump in with a "don't worry, it'll be okay," but
But we're really saying is don't feel that. And imagine if someone said that to you, like after you just had the worst day. So validating their feelings, the anger, the sadness, even fury, it's like we're giving them a map and compass for their own emotions.
which makes you wonder what messages we internalized if we never got that map, right? So
Absolutely.
how do we go from acknowledging those tough feelings to like encouraging a positive outlook? That's tip number 2.
Right, and that's a big one. It's tough, especially when you're when you're in it. So think about it this way. Disappointment, a lot of times it says, I failed. Our job is to help rewrite that story. What if instead they learn to ask, okay, what can I learn from this?
Mhm.
It's really about moving from what we call a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, right?
Yeah, and I was reading that kids who have that growth mindset, they're actually more likely to take on challenges,
Yes.
and they stick with it even when things get hard.
Exactly, exactly. They're more resilient by default,
It's
almost.
like their brains are wired for it.
Precisely, precisely.
Yeah.
Which leads us perfectly to tip number 3, which is modeling that resilience. You're right. Kids are always watching and they're learning how we react to our own setbacks, even those, adulting fails that we laugh
So
about.
totally. Like that time I locked myself out of my house twice
Hmm.
in 1 month.
It's those moments, those genuine displays of frustration that teach them how to deal with their own. So talk about it. Talk about your
Yeah.
coping skills and your bounce back strategies. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be, well, real.
Authenticity over perfection. Always a good mantra. Okay, tip number 4. And this one's hard, especially for those of us who like to be in control of everything. Teaching problem solving, it's so hard not to jump in and just fix it.
I
But
would think of it like we're handing over the reins a little bit, right?
yeah,
We can ask things like, well, what could we try? Or where could we even find more information about this? Like, they may just surprise you. Kids can be so creative and resourceful if you let them.
that's true. And even if their solutions are a little unconventional, it's the process, right?
Yeah.
It builds confidence. Okay, last tip, number 5. Celebrate the effort,
Yeah.
not the outcome.
Yeah.
Because we get so caught up in the end result, right? The
Mhm.
grade, winning, the prize. But what if we just shifted our focus a bit?
Right. Imagine this for a second. Your kid spends like an hour building this huge Lego tower, the biggest one ever, and it teeters and it wobbles and it crashes down. Now, you could focus on the pile of Legos, or you could celebrate their focus or their problem solving when it almost fell over that one time, right?
Oh, that's such a good visual. I could practically hear like the pride in their voice
Yeah.
when you acknowledge all that effort, even though, the tower is on the floor.
Exactly. And that is what it means to raise resilient kids.
This whole deep dive has been so full of really great takeaways. And as you're thinking about these tips, I'm curious what really resonated with you, and what's one small thing, just one little change
Yeah.
that you can make today. Something to empower your little one to face those disappointments with a little more confidence, a little more resilience, and maybe even a little more joy.